So this is the action statement. And so what you're going to find throughout the action statement is that this is compelling you to behave. It's the sentence that urges you to engage the scene physically, the moment before, everything that we're building up. But again, we got to get out of our head. It just has to happen naturally. This is how we live on a day-to-day basis. And instead of focusing on the set before a take, you'll be engaging your body into the moment, into what's about to happen within the scene because you're already doing it. You're already feeling it. If I were to tell you that you're running frantically back into the ocean, you are going to give your all to accomplishing this. This is something that I could just tell you to do, and you don't need a lot to have to do it. Now, why does this work? The reason why this works is because the viewer does 90% of the work for you. What do I mean by this? Well, what's interesting is that, like right now, you're listening. So, whatever I do, whatever I would decide to do with my body, would still work as long as I'm following this frequency of teaching uh, informatively to YouTube or to the YouTube audience, right? So that could be my what I'm doing right now. And as long as I'm just following this frequency of how it is that I'm speaking and engaging through that form of connecting, you're going to buy into it. You're going to stay connected. And it's the same thing that we do whenever we're watching shows, right? The director builds up the storyline by giving us what happened and then what happened and then what happened and then what happened. And then we get to what we're doing. And since you're already bought in and you're watching, you're believing, you're wanting to believe, you're wanting to engage by believing what's happening on screen. So this is where we get this. All you have to do is start with that running frantically back into the ocean. Now, to describe this specifically, this present participle, it's always going to have this ing form. It's always going to be running, playing, searching, stopping, trying, something of this nature. And this is going to expand. So we want to make sure that we have this whenever you're first starting out. This action statement should be a statement that can cover the entire scene. That's going to keep everything going so that way you don't have to stop. Yet, whenever you get on set, there are going to be different shots. There's going to be close-ups. There's going to be over the shoulders. There's going to be wide shots. There's going to be medium close-up shots, all of which is going to require you to behave in a very different way because whenever you are behaving on camera, everything is dictated by the framing. Everything's dictated right now because you're pretty far away. Yes, you can see my face. Yes, you can see, but you can also see my hands and my body. So a lot of the body language that I'm using to express to you and to teach this is, again, as you can see, through my hands. I'm showing you what's happening. Whereas if I were to get up close to you and I only have my face and my voice, well, then I would need to be teaching from the way that I'm speaking. And this is how you would need to engage because you don't have this to see. It has to all come from my face. And if you're close up on me, then all of a sudden a look, be it right? Anything. Whereas if I'm moving my face a lot right now because of my hands and because of my body, you're not as dialed into how that makes you feel. And through these action statements, this allows us to work on things before we ever even get on to set, which is awesome because this is a tool not only for being on set but also rehearsal. And yes, even if you're a film actor, you still need to rehearse. It's important. Why is that important? Is because that's a part of the character building process. That's a part of getting ready so that way whenever you're on screen, you know your angles, you know how it is that you want to express this character or this emotion. And I know that you don't want to be thinking about the camera, but you also have to be mindful of it. You also need to do most of the work in that regard. Whereas I said earlier before that the audience does most of the work by engaging and watching and wanting to believe what it is that you're doing. It's your job to bring this performance and have a quality to you. Now, this believability comes from this action statement and the rest of the actor's algorithm. But the character that you build and the way in which we respond to these moments, that's on you. That is you being able to embody this and bring this out. How do we find these though? Well, that's a great question, and I'm going to go over it right now. So, with our present participle, you're going to choose any state, occurrence, or action of that character. Pick something that the character does in the script. This could be something like swinging, waiting, trying, worrying, and loving, these types of states of being in your script. Then with our adverb, frantically, this is, you just want to describe the way you'll perform or accomplish that action. on set. So this is your unique embodiment of the ways that they get emotionally in the scene. And this is really interesting because even though we're not trying to draw emotion, this is where we're actually able to get to the feeling rather than just trying to force the feeling. So if you give yourself over to gently, getting quietly, getting happily, eagerly, patiently, have you ever felt those embodiments of a state or of a way of being, right? This is what we're getting, right? I get patient. If I were to say be patient, just be patient, right? Rather than can you just get patient? Can you get that way of being right now? Can you get patient? Can you get eager? Can you get happy? And we'll go over that later on. But these are what we're breaking down. So it's an adverb, but technically they'll be described to you in the scene as an adjective. But once it goes into the action statement, it turns into an adverb just because of where it's placed within the sentence, right? So frantic becomes frantically because it's in the now. It's happening right now. So running frantically. But it might be described to you in the scene as they're frantic and they run to the car. Okay, awesome. But you're running frantically. That's what you're doing. And, right? So then for our preposition and the identified noun, these are actually combined because what you're doing is you're specifying how this incident has you engaged to the identified noun. That's this preposition, right? Because that connects you to seeing a real world rather than a film set. And what do I mean by this? Okay, so we specify the incident that you're engaged to this identified noun back into the ocean. And again, this is all based on you having read the script and understanding, okay, well, that's obviously context and backstory, yes, but you'll have known this because at this point you've read the script, even if it's only a scene. You can figure something out to this extent, how it's being played out to you. So a few examples of this would be on the dangerous subway, back to the local gym, or at a terrible joke, right? These are all things that are so so I have to imagine it might be something like waiting quietly on the dangerous subway. All right, so we're waiting quietly on the dangerous subway. So that's going to cause us to get a very specific way. And what we're seeing, whenever I say connects you to the way the world that you're seeing, rather than a film set, if you're looking around at everything, or at least engaging in a way that is causing you to, you're surrounded by a dangerous subway, and you're waiting quietly. That is a way of getting. And so that tells us so much about who you are and how you're embodying yourself in living in this moment. Because I really don't want to throw this onto you of like, oh, you need to be a character. Oh, what are your characters, decisions right now? And what are they doing in the script? No, 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 no. Just focus on this, and all of that will cascade into the performance. All of it just happens. Because if you are focused only on this is going to happen. Now, a question that you're going to be left with: identified nouns. What are they, and how do I find them? All right. This is connecting you to everything your character sees throughout the script. Identifying nouns is one of the most important things you can do to create the world of the script so that way you have a chance to actually live inside of it. And what we do is we take all the nouns. My writing may look like noon, or no, that may look like noon, but it's noun. Noun plus adjective, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, it's you would look at something and you would say, okay, that is a cup and it's dirty. So if someone hands you a cup, rather than just being on set and you're told you're reading these lines, you need to say this, and this at this exact moment. Well, rather than that, you're looking at it and you're reading, you're in the midst of a scene where you're washing um, dishes with someone, or and they hand you, you're getting ready to, dry the dishes, and they hand you a cup and it's the dirty cup. And so your immediate, you're actually doing this. You're like, no, 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 that's dirty. I don't want that. You get the gist. Like you just know this. So rather than having to put on this performance of like, no, that's dirty. No, it's like it's not that. It's never that. You're working through this feeling and this honesty. It brings the honesty to your moment to moment happening and living in the scene. That's really what we're trying to get to here. Now, how do we create the identified noun? We flip them. So once you know noun, uh, cup, and it's dirty, then you just flip that. And now you have the dirty cup. Now you know. Adjective plus noun, you get the identified noun. And you can identify this for everything. Now, what's interesting about this is let's go back to this dangerous subway scenario where on the dangerous subway, well, how do you know that it's dangerous? Did you just know that by walking on and you looked around and immediately knew, oh, it's dangerous? No, probably your character has enough wherewithal to know that they've uh, I just talked about not going into character, but but so in the script, that character that you are going to be embodying as you to start out with, somewhere along the lines was given this information that this subway is the dangerous one. It just is, right? It may be a well-known fact throughout the city that they're surrounded by. It might be just they may have had a friend who got mugged on this subway, but they still have to take it every single day going back and forth because they have to take it to work. These types of things. So this is where it builds the reality of what you're seeing. So all of these action statements are what we're building and how we are embodying ourselves and how we're just getting into the moment. We're just living in moment to moment. Because if you can't do this in front of a camera, living moment to moment, then there's no use trying to get on set and give some. We just get so ahead of ourselves. There's no use doing that. So if you like this video, then definitely check out the next one because the next one talks about how to build an engine. Right. You get it.